Life is unpredictable, but preparing for the unexpected shouldn't be. Take ownership of your life planning with Policy Genius to help your loved ones have a financial safety net in case something happens to you. They offer life insurance policies starting at just $276 a year for $1 million in coverage. Don't wait for life to make other plans. Protect your family today. Head to PolicyGenius.com. That's PolicyGenius.com.
The following episode may contain inappropriate material. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Mattalk. I am just as excited to talk to you guys about this episode as I was last night when I heard the news of that 90s show. It's a spinoff of that 70s show. They're doing it. I get to see Red Foreman as a grandfather yelling at his grandkids, and I cannot tell you how happy I am. I am one of those people that no matter how old I get, I still get excited about the silliest things. And I read this news yesterday, and I did jumping jacks in my living room because I was super excited to see this news.
Wait, you did jumping jacks in your living room?
Yeah, because I'm getting that 90s show.
Not a dance. You did jumping jacks. You did calisthenics.
I didn't do jumping jacks. I did like a little dance in my chair.
Good.
That doesn't really convey the excitement level that I felt last night.
Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you give it? If 10 is like complete like nirvana, and then 1 is like where would you put your excitement?
10. I love that 70s show, and my favorite part of it was Red and Kitty Foreman. So the fact that they're coming back, and Eric and Donna's daughter is going to go stay with them for the summer, and then Red gets to be the grumpy grandfather instead of just the grumpy dad. I'm all in.
Is this on streaming or is it on an actual
Netflix.
network? Netflix, of course.
They ordered 10 episodes, and the original cast is expected to make cameos, minus Hyde for obvious reasons.
Stephen Hyde.
Yeah, he's on trial for sexual misconduct.
Oh, Danny Masterson. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I
was getting all technical on his character's name. Did you watch that 70s show?
I've seen a handful of episodes here and there. That's why I was ignorant when you said the name Stephen Hyde. I'm sorry. Okay,
I forgot.
Danny Masterson. Yeah.
You're older than I am. That 70s show came out when I was still in high school, so that was like hotness. And
yeah, I mean, I have nothing against it, and I will watch an episode if there's nothing else on, and it happens to be on, since it seems to be something that's on a lot of local channels here in Columbus. But I don't seek it out. But I have nothing bad to say about it, nothing good to say about it. Just it's just one of those shows that I just never got into.
I'm pretty sure I pitched that 90s show in an early episode of Three Geeks podcast. I would have to search because I'm like, just make it 20 years later, and then it takes place in the 90s because that's in right now, and then you just have everybody older. They must have been listening. But you guys aren't here to hear about that 70s show, and hopefully Tommy Chong comes back. But we are here to talk to you guys about America's favorite lawyer.
That's right. It's time for another episode of Mattalk, ladies and gentlemen, and we have quite an interesting episode to talk about. It's called The Country Boy. And so, Jason, shall we just jump on into it?
We shall.
All right, then let's get into our opening statements.
Testify.
No, that's later. Come on. As I said, the episode that we will be reviewing is called The Country Boy. The original air date, December 15th, 1987. And we have a guest star that, quite frankly, overshadows everyone on the show because his resume is that impressive. I'm talking, of course, about Mr. David Carradine. He will be playing the role of Jimmy LeGrand. We may know him from the very successful television show in the early 70s of Kung Fu. He's also played roles in the movies Kill Bill 2, Death Race 2000, and a truckload more. Unfortunately, he is no longer with us. But what'd you think about David Carradine being in this episode when you saw his name in the credits?
I got kind of excited. Can't really say a whole lot because this it's going to give away my feelings on the overall episode.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. I think that as a kid, my fond memory of David Carradine, I never watched any of his shows or anything along those lines, but I remember going to the video rental place that I would frequent as a kid. And I remember seeing the box for Death Race 2000 on the shelf. And I always thought it was a cool cover, and I always wanted to see the movie. But I knew my parents would not go for it just because of the title alone, that I would not be able to view it. So it would take me many, many, many years to eventually see the greatness that is Death Race 2000.
Never seen it.
Oh, you've never seen it? It's okay. It's one of those cult movies that is kind of hokey and cheesy at certain parts, but it's overall good. Now, I think the sequel, and I can't remember what the year is. I think it's Death Race 2020, I think, because it came out like in the early 2000s or mid 2000s. Yeah, it was not as good. It was pretty awful.
What about all the ones with Statham and then the Statham wannabe guy?
No, I've never seen any of those.
Okay.
So,
just curious. There's like 4 now, I think.
Yeah. All right. Here's a couple of individuals that Jason and I jotted down because I think you will be quite entertained and probably know these folks.
Candy Clark.
Yes, Candy Clark is Kitty Carroll. And of course, she is also known for playing Sandy Giroux on Criminal Minds and Doris in the most recent Twin Peaks series. So you knew Candy Clark right off the top of the
I recognize
your head.
I recognize the name. Was she not in American Graffiti?
She was. Yes, she was
Yeah,
as well.
We almost interviewed her on our show.
So, okay, so you already knew Candy Clark. And you know what? It's funny because that name, I thought somebody in our podcast circles interviewed her. I didn't know it was that the Three Geeks were scheduled. I knew that name sounded familiar.
Yeah, old publicist friends promised us an interview with her.
Okay. And then the other guest star that we have to mention is Chris Mulkey, who plays the role of Bones Jennings. He, of course, played Clay on Castle Rock, Frank Hague on Boardwalk Empire, and Hank Jennings on the original Twin Peaks. Were you excited to see old Chris Mulkey on this episode?
I didn't recognize him at first, but now that you said the name, I see it. I get it now. Like everybody in this episode, a lot of them looked familiar. I just couldn't place what they were from.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. So there you have it. Of course, Chris and Candy did lots of other credits. They've done a lot of other shows, but those are just some of the highlights. So with that, then, I don't have anything else for our opening statement. So, Jason, I'm going to ask you in a few moments to give an opinion. Your opinion. Only your opinion. So help you.
I do.
Are you ready to
testify?
All right, the plot of this episode is country singer Jimmy LeGrand is a drinker, and he is accused of hitting his wife's sister with a car. But the question is, did he do it on purpose or did he do it by accident? Our opening scene is Jimmy at his concert in Atlanta, and let me just explain something real quick. That hair that the backup singers, the Carroll sisters, have, wow. It says 80 like in giant neon letters, does it not?
I agree. I've become a fan of more recent country music, and I like the older country music, like from the 60s and 70s. But I was not a fan of this guy's music.
Well, actually, interesting note, all 3 of those songs are actual songs. I think one of them is from Hank Williams. And I think the other 2 were from some other singers. Well, needless to say, Jimmy, he kind of forgets the words because he is too drunk to continue to perform. Now, if I may, I would like to deviate for a moment and share a personal story. My mom is a country music fan. She is of the era of the Reba McEntires and the Judds and Vince Gill and those individuals. So that, that early 90s
Billy Ray?
Country. No, hated Billy Ray. She
Oh,
hated Billy Ray.
she didn't give
Um,
all? She wasn't some of the people that gave all, or she didn't have an achy breaky heart?
no, and she did not enjoy. Yeah, no, she did not enjoy Garth Brooks either. She felt like he was very, very arrogant.
Oh, I
And
love Garth Brooks.
yeah, allow me to share a tale that my mom told me, and I kind of remember this story. My mom got tickets to go see a concert by legendary country performer George Jones. My mom came back incredibly upset because apparently George Jones was stinking drunk. And the same thing happened. He couldn't remember the words to the song. He cursed a couple of times. He was just a complete mess on stage. And my mother was outraged because she paid like $25, you know. And this is the early 90s, you know, $25 in 90s is, I don't know, probably $30. I don't know. I don't know that much about conversion for money and whatnot. But she was very upset that she put her hard-earned money to get tickets, and then George Jones had the audacity to get tanked before going on stage, and he couldn't perform. My mother, to this day, hates George Jones for that reason.
Well, I mean, it's probably what, $50, because back in the mid '90s, like $5 an hour was minimum wage.
Yeah. So I mean, Neela, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't have mattered if it was $5. My mom would have been mad about that. She would have been upset about that. She paid money. It didn't matter. It didn't matter to her. She paid money to see a show. This wasn't a show. This guy was so drunk he just couldn't even, you know, perform. And my mother, outraged. She was absolutely outraged.
John's mom, I'm very sorry, and I've got a song I'm going to sing to you. You can tell the world you never was my girl. You can burn my clothes
Stop.
up when I'm
Stop.
gone.
Stop. Just
Oh,
stop.
you can tell
Just-
your friends.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry, ladies and
They
gentlemen.
laugh and joke about me on the phone. What song is that, John?
Is it Achy Breaky Heart?
It is. Ding, 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 ding.
Okay.
Me and Max used to listen to that song all the time when we were kids.
Oh, well, that explains it. I was going to say why, and then you said you were kids. So that makes sense. All right, that makes sense.
Don't tell him. He will not admit to it, probably. He's probably
Max
forgotten.
will not?
No, I don't think so. I doubt he
All right.
remembers.
Okay. Well, anyways, one person that is very upset, like my mother, is Kitty Carroll, and she storms off the stage. She's had it. So what I thought was really creepy was Jimmy LeGrand's comment, "I don't get mad, I get even." I thought that was kind of, that was not what you would say about your wife storming off stage, right?
He was so dramatic. If you walk out this door, you ain't ever coming back.
Jimmy LeGrand was very, very dramatic. I agree with you. So Jimmy and Kitty get in an argument in the back. Kitty lays down an ultimatum. There's such chaos backstage. Like and this was, I guess, at the beginning a little bit annoying to me. Like, I didn't know who all these other people were. They just showed up and they were yelling and that. The tour manager, which later we find out his name is Larry Thorpe, he's accused of being in it for the money by Lou Ann, which Lou Ann, of course, is the sister to Kitty. And there's just a bunch of chaos. Lou Ann storms off too. I imagine that's probably what would go on backstage if you had a singer that was just inebriated beyond belief and, you know, you couldn't perform and everybody's going to be, well, we'll just say out of luck and probably out of money. We cut to a scene where Lou Ann pulls up to a hotel. She gets out. She's having a cigarette in the parking lot, like many people do back in 1987. And while she's smoking, she's hit by a car. Dude, I hope you're with me on this, but oh my God.
Oh, I'm here.
That stunt was horrifically bad, was it not?
Absolutely.
Oh, man. Clearly, the stunt person is not the actress because the stunt person is so much better. I rewound it like 3 times and watched it over and over again. And I'm like, that stunt person is so much bigger than the actress that played Lou Ann. It's so noticeable.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
100%.
Well, the next scene, we see a car with front end damage, and Jimmy's passed out behind the wheel, and he is discovered by the police. So things aren't looking so good for our man, Jimmy LeGrand.
Not at all.
It is not. You know
Hopefully
who
this
else?
is the kick in the pants he needs to get sober.
Maybe it's the kick. Yeah, it might be his rock bottom, but we'll wait and see if indeed that is true. Hey, man, you know what I think all of our kitchens need? A grandfather clock. Right, Jason?
Oh my god, that is the worst. That clock, it's like they were like worshiping it when we went to that scene.
Yeah, so Ben and Julie unwrap a grandfather clock, which I gotta admit, I was like, "What are they doing? Did they paint in the kitchen?" Because when you saw the throw rug over top of the clock, I'm like, "Did they paint or something?" And then they unveil this grandfather clock. Which why would you put it in the kitchen?
Well, first off, I've watched a lot of horror movies. Nothing usually comes good out of a grandfather clock. And secondly, I don't know, John. It's a horrible place for a grandfather clock.
Right? Like, wouldn't you just set it in the living room where it's going to be? Even though we know it's got to get fixed, but why would you just stick it in the middle of the kitchen?
That way he remembers to fix it.
Look, if Matlock needs that much of a reminder, I'm gonna just say it. Alzheimer's is setting in.
That's something a girlfriend would do though, is put the clock in the middle of the kitchen so you don't forget.
I guess. I mean, I could think
Or
of other
boyfriend.
ways. Well, I'm just saying. I think there could be other ways of reminding Ben to get the clock fixed. Even though, by the way, he knows a guy. He doesn't want to pay for the guy in Athens who's a reputable and licensed grandfather clock fixer upper, if you will. No. He knows a guy. He knows a guy.
I took it as he wanted to do it himself because as soon as she left, he tried to mess with it. And this kind of confirms that they're dating, right? This scene, because that's how I took it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think this is confirmation that
There
they're
was
dating.
a kiss, right? Like a little peck.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what? And I got to be honest with you. It went right past my head that when Ben said he knew a guy, he was talking about himself, and that makes so much sense because why is he undoing the back of the clock and then having everything go kaplooey on him?
He was going to fix it, John.
Well, I guess so.
Should have hired Tyler.
Well, we'll get to Tyler in a little bit.
Yeah, way down the line.
Way down the line. And anyways, I'm sure our fans know how we feel about that. And you know what? The other note I put down here is I hoped that when he undid the back to the clock, like he would find like $10,000 in it, and it would be like a bigger mystery as to where the money came from. But alas, no, it just goes kaplooey and parts fly over the floor, and the phone rings, and lo and behold, it's Michelle Thomas. And it seems that Ben predicts every single thing that Michelle says, which I thought was kind of a little bit lame. I don't know what I know they were trying to make it comedic, but to me, I think it fell flat. What do you think?
Yeah, me too. Let's pick up your phone. For a second, I thought maybe they were on speakerphone.
Right. Yes, because it was very confusing because he keeps saying what she's going to say, and it's like he's having a conversation, and then all of a sudden he runs and grabs the phone when he finds out that Kitty Carroll is the client. And Ben says he'll be down in a few moments to the office to meet with Kitty, and he shoves all the broken clock parts back into the clock, which, I mean, I guess is the only thing you can do at this point with the clock.
Yeah, I'm not a grandfather clock fan.
No, you take up all the space. Why would you have one?
Like, minimal stuff in my house, and grandfather clock is not a minimal thing. Why don't you just get your grandfather, put a watch on him, and set him in your living room?
Okay. Well, you know what? I think it's a generational thing. And so, you know what? I'm going to throw it out there. If there's any listeners out there that have a grandfather clock, hey, hit us up. Let us know why you have it. What is your experience with it? Is it because we are younger that we are like, yeah, whatever? Hit us up.
Tell us why it's called a grandfather clock, because I would love to know.
You know what? I know. And I know people are like, just Google it, you two doofuses. You Google everything else. But no. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. We want to get some fans to interact with us and tell us all about grandfather clocks. And how can they do that, Jason?
It's very simple. Also, let me know why there's not a grandmother clock. You can email us at benmattalk@gmail.com.
Or you can hit us up on Facebook at Mattalk Podcast or on Twitter at Mattalk_podcast and let us know all about grandfather clocks. Or Jason wants to know about the mysterious grandmother clock, if that's a thing.
Grandchild clock. I want to know why there's not more of these clocks.
Yeah, I agree. All right, our next scene. Ben thinks that as he's meeting with Kitty and he's talking to her, he thinks that maybe it was mistaken identity, that Kitty was actually the target. and not Luann, but since they look very similar together, the killer got it kind of confused. Kitty kind of explains all of the ups and downs of their marriage. Jimmy has been a guy that was really good with her in the first few years, but then over the last few years, he's been fighting and drinking and wrecking cars. So much so that Luann and Kitty stayed at a totally different hotel prior to the show in Atlanta because she was giving an ultimatum to Jimmy that you got to straighten up or I'm out of here. I'm gone. But she's not really sure why Jimmy would try to murder her or her sister. I did like the little side comment in the middle of this from Michelle that Ben has all of Jimmy's records.
Yeah, he does.
It's clear that Ben is a fan of country music. We knew that from day one, we might as well say.
Yeah, gospel/country.
Yep. So Ben interviews Jimmy, and Jimmy says that the tour manager, Larry, was the one that drove Jimmy around to the, and he took everybody to this bar that they go to, but Jimmy was so drunk he can't recall what exactly happened. Ben wants Jimmy to sober up, and then he kind of takes the case. All right, at this point, Jason, what were your thoughts about the episode so far? Did you think maybe Jimmy was guilty, or do you think that there was some other shenanigans? If so, did you have a suspect or what?
I didn't have a suspect. I knew Jimmy wasn't I knew he wasn't guilty because we just had Matlock have a guilty client. They're not going to do that back to back. I thought maybe they'll throw us for a loop and it'll be the sister. That's all.
See, okay, I actually thought it was the tour manager at this point because when he had mentioned Larry was the one that was driving us around and then he got so drunk, I'm like, logically, he would probably be the one to drive because if he's that drunk, he doesn't remember. I mean, I guess there's the chance that Jimmy could get behind the wheel, but I just felt like the way they presented, like he would have to drive from the bar to the hotel, run over Luann, and then drive somewhere else. Like, I think that's too much. I think that, if you were, and I don't know because I've never drank and drove, but I'm just assuming that maybe you would try to be like the shortest distance from point A to point B so you wouldn't have to run into cops. You know what I mean? And that to me seemed like only Larry could convince him, swoop around, run over Luann, put him in the driver's seat, and there you go. All right, so folks, you'll find out in a little bit whether we're right or not as we're going to move along here to the rivalry between Ben and Julie, where they are coming out of the courtroom and they're presenting their different sides of what they think happened. Obviously, Julie is going to be the prosecutor. Ben is going to be the defense attorney. They actually even continue to argue about the case at the hot dog stand when Michelle delivers devastating news, Jason.
They're out of hot dogs.
No. That would actually be real, true, devastating news. This is just the news that Jimmy LeGrand has been ordered by the courts to stay at Ben Matlock's house. First of all, okay, I'm all about suspending disbelief, but this would never happen, ever happen. And I was not good. I immediately was soured on the idea because I'm like, it's going to be just the odd couple, right? We knew that.
Maybe it was Matlock's. Like, hey, give him bail and he can crash with me. I'll keep an eye on him.
Oh, wait. Wait, do you mean that, like, Ben would take the bail money for himself and then, like some type of, like, kickback, if you will?
I didn't say that. I mean, Ben, he's a fan of the guy. And he's like, you just, Judge, I will be responsible for him. He can come crash at my place.
I don't think that happens in the real world whatsoever.
Probably not.
No. Okay. So we go to Ben's house. And Jimmy wants beer, but there's none to be had. And instead, he plays a little guitar. And then they talk about the grandfather clock, which is still in the kitchen, not at a repair shop. So you have that. So Ben goes to interview Kitty again. And she mentions that Lloyd, the drummer, he's kind of a player. He likes to hit on the ladies. And one time, a few months ago, he hit on Luann. And that didn't turn out too well. So the other question that came up in this conversation, why was Luann driving Kitty's car when hers was in the parking lot?
That is a very good question. I don't know. I mean, we find out later why.
Yeah, I was very confused by that statement too, because I'm like, oh, okay. And in the next few scenes, we still don't even have a reveal of that. So it was a little bit bizarre. So Ben arrives home to a wild party, which, shocker, I'm sure, Jason, you were completely blown away by this. That was sarcasm, by the way, folks.
I was blown away. Like, literally, my couch exploded while I was
No.
underneath it.
We all knew this scene was coming, right? I mean, we knew it.
Yeah, it was a scene out of Animal House.
Exactly.
Ben's house turned into a frat.
That's right. But I do like how absolutely angry Ben got. He did a great job of, he threw everybody out, get out, and he was so super mad. But here's my question though.
He tried to throw everybody out. They didn't really listen to him.
Well, they did the first time, but the more times he yelled, "Get out!" They left. I mean, because he's a crazy man. Yeah. Here's my question though. Isn't there any type, and I don't know this, I think that it's true in Ohio. I don't know about Georgia, but if you have a party and people get like smashed, right? And then they get behind the wheel and they drive home, aren't you like somehow legally responsible if they have an accident or something? You don't know?
I have no idea. I never really had drinking parties before.
Yeah, well, and again, I've never been somebody that got behind the wheel after drinking, so I really don't know. So, I mean, I thought that there was a rule or a law about that you have some type of culpability if you threw a giant party and everybody's too drunk and you let them drive home anyways.
I did have one house party at my friend's house. I had a lot to drink, and I just remember waking up in the living room. I don't remember how I got there or anything.
Was Kid and Play there?
I wish Kid and Play there. When I was in high school, John, because I watched a lot of house party movies, 1, 2, and 3, I always rapped with some buddies at the house party because it was what Kid and Play do. So that's what we did.
Wait, how many house party movies are there, by the way?
There's 5, but there's only 4 with Kid and Play.
So what's the 5th one?
Well, the 4th one is with Immature. Kid and Play did not return. And then Kid and Play returned in a cameo in the 5th one, which I have not seen. I tried to watch 4, and then I got like 10 minutes into it. I'm like, this is awful. And then I tried to watch 5, but Kid and Play were just at the end, so I just fast forwarded to Kid and Play, and they were just in a recording studio.
Oh, okay.
I want to see them in concert.
You also want their Funko Pops too, right?
I do, because they do the kick step.
There you go. So if anybody's out there that collects Funko Pops and you have the Kid and Play, let us know. Jason really, really, really wants that set.
I do.
All right. Anyways, we've deviated from our conversation of Matlock, so let's get back to it.
Do you think Matlock ever did the kick step with Tyler?
No, something tells me that did not happen. All right. I think the most we could get is maybe Ben in MC Hammer pants. That's probably about the best that we could get.
Oh my God, I wish that happened.
I know.
Is there, because there's always a hip hop episode of these kind of shows. Is there one in Matlock?
Great question. I don't think there is. I don't think so. All right, so Ben is going to yell at Jimmy, but Jimmy has passed out, and so he wakes him up with the clock, and then he just lays down the law. Man, Jimmy, you need to sober up. If you're going to you can wreck your life after I'm done with your case, blah, blah, blah. And he just reads him the riot act. Some tough love coming from Matlock.
Yeah, chastising Ben.
Exactly. So Ben shows up at the Rambler Saloon, and he witnesses an argument between Larry and the rest of the band. Boy, the Rambler Saloon, that looks like a great place to hang out.
Yeah, and Matlock blocked somebody from
I know.
From having a good night.
I know. I was just going to say, that's my next note. Ben ruins Lloyd's shot with a lady, and then he faces off with Lloyd at the bar, like, asking him questions about, his relationship with Jimmy and whatnot. By the way, this would have been a prime place to send Tyler Hudson. That's the thing. I'm like, what is this? You know what? Let's go ahead and talk about it. Let's talk
another
about it.
Episode where Tyler shows up at the end and is pretty much wasted.
Yes, because let's just go ahead and talk about it. Tyler does show up clear at the end of the episode for one scene, and I couldn't help but say, ladies and gentlemen, there is a lot of stories of course, Keen Holiday having some issues, some personal issues that came to the set, and so oftentimes they would remove him from the script and plug in a different scene or whatnot. And I have a feeling that this would be one of those examples, because it just, Ben in this country western bar just did not kind of work for me. Like, it's just like that's all I could think of, is that we need Tyler right there.
You think Tyler would work better in a country western bar?
Yes. I think he would.
Why?
Because he goes to all the scumbag bars. That's what he does.
A country western bar in the 80s for a black man?
Yes.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think that Matlock was better suited. Maybe he should have wore like his flannel that he wears when he's out on the porch singing, not his suit in a country western bar. But I think
okay, I'll give you that. Okay, maybe if you dress down, it would be a little bit better. Okay.
Tyler Hudson, he's gonna go in there and sing "Achy Breaky Heart."
No,
don't tell the world. Sorry.
I will tell you this: I did enjoy Ben's quip about his gray hair prevents people from punching him. I'm like, you just haven't met it. You haven't met the right psychopath yet. You plenty of people that would beat up a guy with gray hair. I can tell you that.
You're less likely to get beaten up if you have gray hair. Right.
Less likely, but it still could happen. And I'm surprised it didn't actually in this scene. Ben also goes after Bones, and they banter back and forth. And then there's this very weird scene with the bartender, who he knows the band really, really well. And Ben starts asking him questions, and he just is like, oh, I gotta go. And he just disappears. At this point, I thought that maybe the bartender knew who the killer was. You, Jason, what do you say?
Yes, kind of.
Kind of. Well, how about this? When you say kind of, do you mean that maybe he knows something went down, but he doesn't know who? Or does he know, like, oh, it's so
I think he knows something's fishy, because you can tell when somebody is pretending to be drunk versus them being real drunk. One, you can smell it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, continue.
Well, that's going to come up here in a little bit again about what the drinks were that night. Yep. Jimmy is cooking for Ben, and Ben is very, very much appreciative, and they talk a little bit, and then the clock works, but not correctly. Look,
Ben is more than appreciative. He's like a kid at Disneyland.
He is, very much so. There was a pet peeve with this scene for me. The noises that they were making while eating were kind of gross. Okay, they were kind of gross. I don't know maybe it's just me, but the chewing and the that type of noise, huh?
It didn't bother me.
It kind of bothered me a little bit. Stop doing that. Ew. I feel ill.
Tomorrow on 3 Geeks Podcast, we are going to eat food into the microphones with John Orlando.
All right, let's go back to the courtroom. The bartender's on the stand, and Julie's questioning him. And the bartender admits that he was serving watered-down drinks because Bones Jennings said, hey, man, listen, Jimmy's drinking way too much. How about just watering him down? So the bartender said there's no way the amount that he consumed that he would be drunk because he watered him down. But Jimmy swears to Ben that he was so smashed. Ben and Tyler go to meet Mrs. Parnell to get some hotel information. Ben wants to know what kind of perks the hotel gives out. And Tyler says that they have the information that they need in the file on the stay of the band and whatnot at this hotel.
I did not understand this in the grand scheme of the episode, like how that piece of paper from the hotel was important, but continue.
Okay. Well, we go back to the courtroom, and Jimmy and Kitty, they kind of reconcile in the hallway, and we cut to a scene where Bones is on the stand. He's the only person that would know where the Carrolls were staying, the sisters. And there's a mysterious phone call from his room to Luann's room, and then it's discovered that Bones probably switched out the drinks, that he drank the weak one, and then Jimmy got his drink. First of all, I hope they were both drinking the same drink, because otherwise that would be kind of a little bit weird.
Talking about alcohol, folks, not Coke and Pepsi.
Right. We're talking about Tequila Sunrise, or, Sex on the Beach, or, yes, Tom Collins. Luann had found out about kickbacks regarding the hotel booking. So basically, Bones was taking some money after booking these hotels, or actually, he was just kind of strong-arming them because he claimed that Larry was booking the hotels. And Jason, I have to admit something to you real quick. I know a few weeks ago we went to Michigan to the Monroe Pop Fest.
Yep, and you booked our hotel room in Florida.
Yeah, and you're correct. I was in charge of booking the hotel room, and ladies and gentlemen, I booked the hotel in 45 minutes away from the convention. And Jason, I played dumb that I didn't know what I was doing, but I know because I got a kickback from the hotel. So
yeah,
I was doing the Bones Jennings scheme a few weeks ago. I was getting $75 a night kicked back to me. So I apologize.
Yeah, we left the convention and we drove a long way. I'm like, man, it's time to stop and get gas. And then we ended up happening to get at our hotel where we stayed. Felt like we were in a car for an eternity.
Hey, the real story behind that, ladies and gentlemen, was I was in charge of booking the hotel. It's a hotel that I've stayed at before, but I couldn't remember just how far away it was from the actual venue. And also, too, I only went up one night and stayed one night, so kind of threw off the time schedule a little bit. But they're not letting me live that one down. They continue to antagonize me and remind me of my faux pas. So basically, Bones feels that he has to kill Kitty in order to keep his job and keep the secret about the kickbacks because Ben says he's making about $400,000 a year, which I'm like, what? No, I think that's a little high. That's a high estimate there, Ben.
I mean, if he's a hot country singer, maybe he is.
I don't know about that. I mean,
Ben bought all his CDs or records. Did they have CDs in the 80s? That was right around the time.
Yeah,
right?
That was right around the time when they're coming out. Yeah.
I remember my dad's first CD was George Harrison with I got my mind set on you.
Dun, 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 set on you. Dun, dun. How'd you get me to start singing? Look at you. Curse you. All right. So Ben reveals that the car that Jimmy had suffered a kind of a more damage than known, as there's a hole in the radiator after Bones runs over Luann. And Ben has a witness come into the courtroom, and he claims that this witness saw Bones putting water in the radiator. So that means that Bones is caught red-handed, and he admits to it, and he just confesses to everything. And then we find out again, which has got to be the most illegal crap that he has ever pulled in his life, that the witness was just the clock fixer from Athens and not an actual witness.
I don't think that's illegal. Is it? Because I'm pretty sure lawyers can do all of the tricks in the book to get.
Dude, I think that's blatant lying. I think, hey, this guy saw you, man.
This guy's willing to testify.
Well, right, because Ben goes, wait a minute. I didn't say if he has semantics. Like, I didn't say he was a witness. I said, what if there was a witness? Yeah, you said that after you pulled the dude in court. So everyone is assuming that is the witness.
Yeah, and you know what happens when you assume, John?
I'm aware.
Okay.
I'm aware.
Maybe they shouldn't have been assuming because Ben Matlock knows what he's doing. Everything he does is 100% on the nose.
Okay, you know what? Future episode, we need to get an attorney on here to talk about some of these shenanigans. So,
I do know an attorney. I'll talk to him.
Okay. All right. See if he'd want. Is it a he or a she? Is it a lady or a man? He. Okay. See if he'd want to come on and answer these questions. All right. And then we cut to a concert on the porch with Ben and Jimmy. And Jimmy promises that he's going to be the best husband he can be to Kitty, and roll to credits. Jason, was there anything I forgot in regards to the episode that you'd like to throw in there?
Nope. You got it, man.
All right, then let's get to our closing statements. All right, this is part of the podcast where Jason and I are going to rate this episode, and we're going to rate it based on a gavel system. 5 gavels for an absolutely awesome episode, down to 1 gavel for a subpar episode. Not only will we give this rating, but we'll also justify why we did. Jason, do you want to go ahead and go first?
I would love to, John.
Okay.
I want to say that I thought this episode was okay. It went by fast. It had a nice pacing to it. I didn't really like the character of Jimmy and wasn't a huge fan. I missed Tyler a bit. But again, the episode went by fast. There are some moments in the episode that I enjoy. and it's an easy 3 out of 5 for me.
Okay, I'm kind of along with you. I gave it 2 out of 5 gavels because again, with the positives, I thought there was only a couple. I do enjoy the Julie and Ben rivalry. I like that. I really like how they are a couple, but they also will, be rivals and go at each other as well. So I like that. I thought the comedy with the clock was kind of funny. So I dug that. Again, no Tyler for whatever reason. I really felt like this was a weak motive to kill somebody. You know what I mean? Like I just thought like that wasn't a super strong reason to mow somebody down with a car. And as I said, the other negative for me was some of the shady stuff that went on. It was especially with the ending, with the fake witness, and of course with Jimmy staying at Ben's house. I was like, yeah, no, that wouldn't happen. So I gave it 2 out of 5.
Nice. So everybody, please email us all of the questions we asked before. Let me know why it's called a grandfather clock. Why isn't there a grandmother clock? Is there little grandchildren clocks? I would love to know. You can email me at bnmattalk@gmail.com. And John, tell them where they can find us on the social media.
Oh, I will. And I was also going to throw out there, if you're a lawyer and you'd like to jump on and explain some of these legal maneuvers, you can help Jason that way as well. But you can find us on social media. Facebook is at Mattalk Podcast. And of course, Twitter is at podcast_. And on Twitter, it is Mattalk_podcast. And folks were chuckling because my computer keeps throwing up alerts about us scheduling stuff and wants to put things on the calendar. Oh, technology. You're so wonderful when you work, but when you do weird things, I hate you. Anyways, Jason, tell the folks all about the Three Geeks podcast.
We are live every Sundays at noon. We have interviews that we post on Mondays. We have Animaniacs on Wednesdays and whatever else I decide to post on Fridays. Coming up this week, we have an interview with a rapper named Jarrell Pyro Johnson. Great guy. I highly recommend listening to the interview. It's a lot of fun. It's silly fun. We also just did an interview with Kira Reed Lorsch, who was in a lot of Cinemax movies in the 90s, and now more recently she's been doing a lot of Christmas and faith-based films. So you guys can check out that interview and Burt Ward, and John, I will answer your questions after the show.
Okay, I do have some questions about your interviews, but nonetheless, don't forget that you can also check out my personal podcast, the PVD Cast. It's available at pvdcast.com or through all those major podcasting outlets. Just FYI, if you're a hockey fan and you're listening to Matt Talk, this week's episode is a preview of the NHL season that's starting here this week. Going to run down some predictions with my hockey expert, Luke Landry. We're also going to talk about all the news from the offseason and tons more. Again, pvdcast.com or wherever you get podcasts, you can find it and give it a listen. And with that, Jason, if there's nothing else, let's get on out of here, shall we?
We shall. See you guys later.
And as they say in court, nothing further. The following has been a joint production of the Three Geeks podcast and John Orlando Enterprises, LLC. Copyright 2021.